Rabindranath Tagore, a visionary of life, learning, and aesthetic. Rabindranath Tagore was a visionary poet, philosopher, aesthete, nature lover, artist, writer, and perhaps one of the greatest educationists of India. His ideas in education served as a transformative force in the field and continue to inspire contemporary discussions on holistic education, making his legacy relevant even today. Roots of Tagore's philosophy are embedded in the ancient culture of India. According to Salamullah, Tagore is an exponent of Vedanta philosophy, which teaches us that the whole universe is pervaded by one and the same spirit, and as such, the feeling of separatedness, of being different, is an illusion caused by ignorance. According to Tagore, real wisdom seeks to realize all as one, comprehending one in the many and many in the one. He who attains this supreme consciousness is liberated from all pains and sufferings. And as he sees his own self in every other human being, he cannot entertain ill feelings against anybody. For him, the essence of humanity is the same. In his writings, Tagore often expressed that true progress can only be achieved when humanity moves beyond nationalistic or sectarian divides. This belief is encapsulated in his famous idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that is, world is one family. This idea was also incorporated in his experiments in education at Shantiniketan, which in future became Vishwabharati. He was a staunch believer of the idea of freedom and love. In his essay, My School, he says, "We have given an opportunity to the children to find their freedom in nature by being able to love it. For love is freedom. It gives us that fullness of existence which saves us from paying with our soul for objects that are immensely cheap. Love lights up this world with its meaning." The form of freedom that Tagore talks about is not merely physical or political, but it is a freedom of the soul from ignorance and fear, which involves living authentically. Tagore's educational ideas were basically molded by his philosophical ideas. As he is a poet, his educational ideas are naturally a product of his poetic mind. His vision of education takes its root from his own early days of schooling and education and from his close reading of thinkers such as Rousseau, Pestalozzi, Herbert, Froebel, and Dewey on the one hand and the Upanishadic wisdom on the other. Education according to Tagore. Education as a creative and freeing process. Tagore was a staunch advocate for the freedom of thought and expression in education. He rejected the rigid, rote memorization approach of traditional schooling. Instead, he promoted an environment where students could think critically, explore ideas freely, and express their creativity. He believed that true learning occurs when individuals are given the freedom to explore, ask questions, and form their own opinions. He viewed education as a spontaneous, naturally harmonious activity. He believed that children should be surrounded with things of nature which have their own educational value. He felt that being in direct contact with nature stimulated creativity and allowed students to learn in a more meaningful and experiential way. Nature was not just a backdrop but an active teacher. For teaching learning process, Rabindranath Tagore in his essay My School writes that when we accept any discipline for ourselves, we try to avoid taking in anything except what is necessary for a purpose, and in this purposefulness which belongs to the adult mind that we force upon the children in school. We say that never keep your mind alert, attend to what is before you, what has been given to you. This becomes torture to the child because it goes against nature's purpose. And nature, the greatest of all teachers, is thwarted at every stop by the human teacher who believes in machine-made lessons and not in the lessons of life, so that the whole growth of the child's mind is not only hurt but forcibly spoilt. Tagore believed that education is an instrument of social change. He believed that education should not just focus on individual achievement but also on contributing to the greater good of society. He saw it as a means of social transformation, empowering individuals to act responsibly and thoughtfully, thus benefiting the entire community. Education should raise awareness of social issues and encourage students to engage in actions that promote justice and equality. Integration of aesthetics in education. Education in all Tagore's writings is considered a creative activity. And since all art is a form of play, a kind of improvisation, education as well should teach the art of improvising, of avoiding anything ready made, be it the choice of textbooks or methods of teaching. Art was not only for personal expression but also for social and spiritual reflection. It encouraged students to connect with their own humanity and the broader human connection. Tagore saw the arts as a vehicle for emotional and intellectual growth, helping students develop empathy, sensitivity, and a deeper understanding of the world around them. Tagore envisaged that children should be allowed to grow in an atmosphere of freedom in the lap of uncorrupted nature. So he established his institution Shanti Niketan, which was the embodiment of Tagore's educational ideals. About his educational mission, the poet wrote, "I established my institution in a beautiful spot far away from the town, where the children had the greatest possible freedom under the shade of ancient trees and the field around open to the verge of horizon. From the beginning, I tried to create an atmosphere which I considered to be more important than the teaching class." Tagore believed that education was not limited to the four walls of a classroom, but the greatest education is received in the lap of nature. In his essay My School, he wrote, "I tried to create an atmosphere which I considered to be more important than the class teaching. And the atmosphere of nature's own beauty was there waiting for us from a time immemorial with her varied gifts of colors and dance, flowers and fruits, with the joy of a mornings and the peace of a starry nights. I wrote songs to suit the different seasons to celebrate the coming of spring and the resonant season of the rains following the pitiless months of summer." About the teaching-learning process at Shanti Niketan, he said that I chose a beautiful spot and used to hold my classes under some big shady tree. I taught them all I could. Tagore used to play with the children and he used to recite his own ancient epics and sing his own songs. He trusted to the presence of the spirit of freedom. Other than that, he also tried to create an atmosphere of culture. He invited renowned artists from the city to live at the school, leaving them free to produce their own work. And then he allowed the boys and the girls to watch if they so felt inclined. He says that it was the same with my own work. All the time I was composing songs and poems and would often invite the teachers around to sing or read with them. This helped to create an atmosphere from which the children could imbibe something impalpable but life-giving. Shanti Niketan's curriculum blended Eastern and Western educational traditions, fostering a global outlook. Tagore believed that exposure to diverse cultures and philosophies could broaden students' minds and contribute to a greater understanding of humanity. Shanti Niketan evolved into Vishbharati University, which was established in 1921. Through this university, Tagore aimed to promote internationalism and cultural exchange. The university became a center for intellectual and artistic collaboration between scholars, artists, and thinkers from across the world, all contributing to Tagore's idea of a world university. Tagore's educational ideas are scattered throughout his life's work and are not based on some very hard and fast scientific facts. As he is a celebrated artist and poet, naturally his ideas resonate more to our hearts than with our brains. But even so, their relevance has not subsided but only realized and appreciated in the contemporary times. So much so that his ideas are included in educational documents such as National Focus Group's Aims of Education, National Curriculum Framework 2005, and National Educational Policy 2020. Thank you.